Opinionated Idiot.
What's going on, everybody? It is Friday afternoon. I know this is a rarity for me to jump on here. It's not normally one of my normal time slots, but I thought I'd come in and spend a little bit of time with you all. I see the chat is filling up. I know it's kind of a weird point in the day, and like I said, not one of my regular times that I would jump on, but I have some news that it's funny. I was just got off air last night talking with a few of my sleuthers backstage in our Discord chat, and one of them came across something and said, "Hey, did you see this? Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funke have kind of broken their silence." And I said, "Okay, well, show me the information." So I'm going to talk about that in a second. And if you first time coming over on the channel, we just came through a 7-part series of looking back, Idaho, kind of the Idaho 4 murders. And I just did a 7-part series. If you haven't seen any of those episodes, I urge you to go back, watch through those. I think it's a great recap and kind of going back and looking at some information maybe that we might have missed or some new information that we might have seen. So I was just explaining, like, we haven't heard much from Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funke, the two surviving roommates at the King Road residence, until recently. Bethany Funke was recently subpoenaed by the defense and was asked to be a possible witness for the defense. I know over the last couple of days there was some I guess maybe some minor resistance to that, but I guess now she has agreed to do that. If you want to go back and review that, I actually just did a stream last night. It's part 7. It's called Idaho Looking Back, and you can search it out in the replays. So like I said, last night we were doing some sleuthing around, and one of my sleuthers in the chat came to me and said, "Hey, have you seen this post?" And what I want to do is bring this up because this is really the first time we've heard any silence, broken from Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funke. I mean, like I was just saying, Bethany Funke was being talked about over the last couple of days here. But let me bring this up. So we have Jack, I think it's pronounced Schriger, Instagram account. And if anybody is not, I'm sorry, Jake. It's Jakes and Jacks and all that. And I have terrible eyes anyway. So Jake Schriger's Instagram account. And he posted yesterday. And if anybody doesn't know, Jake is now Maddie Mogan's ex-boyfriend. And he made a post yesterday and said, "Happy 2-year, Maddie. I miss you so much, and I wish I could spoil you today, but I'm sending you extra hugs and kisses to heaven. I love you." So what we did is we kind of started to scroll through. And you have here, this is Dylan Mortensen sending some heart emojis. And right below that, you have Bethany Funke. And Bethany Funke said, "Sending you so much love, Jake. I wish she's sending you so much love today. Happy 2 years." So, I mean, really, this has been kind of, the first public, I would say, statements or just public conversations that they've had. We really haven't heard much from them at all up until the last couple of days. So I kind of found that, a little surprising. I thought that they would have kept radio silence up and through the trial. I appreciate the support that you're seeing from them. But certainly, if you all want to search that out, read those comments as well. I'll post the link here in the chat, and you guys can go over and check that out. I know there's some replies below it. I'm not going to get too much into the replies, but to me, it's a little bit of a breaking news. I mean, they've been kind of hush puppy through all of this. I'm sure that their lawyers have been in much contact with them to stay out of the media, to not give any type of interviews, to not to talk to anybody. But now, it's, they're prevalent. They're following their friends' social media accounts, and they're posting and having conversations. So, we'll continue to follow this to see if there's any updated posts. And, I just wanted to bring that to attention. I know some are going to get probably angry that this is not like completely breaking news, but it's something. It's something that they are present, they are out there. And, we'll continue to follow the developments with Bethany Funke as well. What I want to do now is there was a video that I wanted to get to last night, and it was basically kind of a wrap-up video as to summarize to where we are fully in this case. So I'm going to pull that up. It's about a 25-minute video. It's from the Law and Crime Network, and it will give us kind of a brief overall of where we stand presently in the Idaho 4 case. Let's play that.
It's a story that's gripped the nation. 4 college students brutally stabbed to death in their off-campus Idaho home. For weeks, no suspects, no arrests, and no murder weapon. Until
detectives arrested 28-year-old Bryan Christopher Kohberger in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, on a warrant for murders of Ethan, Zana, Madison, and Kaylee.
On December 30th, 2022, officials announced the arrest of suspect Bryan Kohberger, the man they say is responsible for the murders of University of Idaho students Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, Ethan Chapin, and Zana Kernodle. Weeks before, on November 13th, their bodies were found stabbed to death on the upper 2 floors of their off-campus home.
I'm sure there's statistics out there of, many people pass by a murderer, many people know a murderer. Well, I don't. It's very concerning, and it's very eerie and creepy as well.
It's crazy because literally days after these murders happened, he brought it up when I saw him in the hallway.
To get inside the mind of accused killer Bryan Kohberger, Law and Crime Network began a weeks-long investigation into his past, teaming up with local Pennsylvania news outlet LehighValleyLive.com to walk in the footsteps of the highly educated murder suspect before he moved across the country to Washington.
It's almost too good to be true, unless this guy was miraculously set up, which is like a 1 in a billion chance. No one cares enough about Bryan Kohberger to set him up.
Our investigation began thousands of miles from the Moscow, Idaho crime scene in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania, where Kohberger grew up.
That's not something that you really expect for a national story to come back to our area.
The Kohberger family home in Albrightsville, safely guarded behind the gates of the Indian Mountain Lake development, sits only about 10 minutes away from Pleasant Valley High School, where Kohberger graduated in 2013. But it was about an hour south in Pennsylvania's Lehigh Valley, where he spent the bulk of his 20s.
DeSales is kind of its own sort of campus outside of Bethlehem in a more rural area, surrounded by a lot of cornfields and small neighborhoods.
Down a winding tree-lined road on the outskirts of the valley is DeSales University, a private Catholic school with less than 5,000 total students.
It's a small school. It's not like it's a Penn State or a Pitt or a Temple. It's a very small school in a cornfield. So if you go there, you know most of the people within your study and pretty much everyone that goes to the school, and he was not known.
It's here at DeSales University where Kohberger really got his feet wet in the study of criminology. He received both his undergraduate and graduate degrees here, and DeSales officials tell me he studied in this very building.
Inside the walls of Dueling Hall, then undergraduate Josh Ferraro met psychology major Bryan Kohberger.
At that time, I would have never said, oh yeah, that guy would do something like this. He may have been a little odd or a little off But like other than that, you'd never expect someone to be allegedly part of a quadruple homicide ever.
Ferraro, who graduated from DeSales with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, is a self-proclaimed true crime junkie.
I was following it day one because who hears about 4 college students that are unfortunately murdered, and how do you not want to keep up with that? So I got on TikTok, YouTube, Google, and I vigorously kept up with this case.
It came as a surprise then when Ferraro's one-time classmate was charged in the murders.
And that's why it's like shocking to me, because this guy was such a normal dude, average Joe type person. You would never, like, you don't know what's under people's skin. God forbid if he didn't do it, great. But all the signs point to that he did.
After news broke of Kohberger's arrest, Ferraro recorded his reaction and posted it on social media.
I went to college with Bryan Kohberger. I've been looking at his picture all day. I've been saying the name all day in my head. And I was like, I know this guy. I know this guy. And then he went to DeSales University. I'm like, I know I had a class with him. I know it. The name sounds so familiar.
Back in 2018, Ferraro teamed up with Kohberger for a project on Daphnia, or water fleas. He says they worked together for an entire semester.
He was new, and I said, hey, buddy, do you want to be my lab partner? And that's pretty much what was left, so I took him. And it ended up working out very well.
As a commuter student, Kohberger came and went from campus during his undergraduate psychology studies. Ferraro says he kept to himself and didn't show any outward signs of something more menacing.
It's not always the creepy guy with glasses and oily hair and creeping around the corner. It's sometimes just that average Joe that on the inside, you have no idea what he looks like. But on the outside, he may just seem like a normal person, much like Bryan Kohberger did.
Ferraro instead theorizes Kohberger's alleged drive to kill stems from something on the inside.
I really don't think that there's too many outward telltale signs of someone committing a crime. I feel like it's all mostly internal, which goes back to the blank slate theory and basically how you're raised, what you're exposed to as a child, what your genetics are. That would be predisposition. So like some things you're predisposed to do in life, that's just unfortunate. Your genetics dictate you will be one way. However, the blank slate theory says that dependent on your situation and who you grew up with, what kind of friends you have, how many friends you have, do you have a lover, all these things in combination kind of make you who you are. So it's a combination of both, in my opinion. I'm not a professional. You got to ask Catherine Ramsland.
As a graduate student at DeSales, Kohberger majored in criminal justice. That means both he and Ferraro studied under legendary forensic psychologist Dr. Catherine Ramsland. We reached out to Ramsland for this story and were told via email, quote, I'm making no statements about Bryan Kohberger and will not be interviewed for any stories that feature him. But months before Kohberger's arrest, Ramsland appeared on Law and Crime Network's podcast, Cocktails and Cocktails.
Have I come face to face with psychopaths? Absolutely. The coldness, the lack of remorse, definitely. So some people call that evil, but we are finding that it might very well be a brain disorder.
In the interview given just 7 months before the University of Idaho murders, Ramsland explained the workings of a psychopath's mind.
The brains of what we call primary psychopaths, who seem to be born with this brain disconnect, are definitely different. And it allows them to be better predators if that's what they choose to be. Not all psychopaths are criminals, not all psychopaths are murderers, but if they choose that, it allows them to be very effective at it because they really don't have any remorse over what they're doing. And they really can be very calculated. They tend to be very reward driven.
But according to forensic psychologist Dr. John Delatorre, we can't yet label Kohberger as a psychopath or even a serial killer.
Even if he was a serial, even if he does have that, what actually happened was that he was a mass killer, right? That because there was 3+, sometimes it's 4+, depending on what law enforcement agency that you ask, whoever did this should actually be considered a mass killer. But that doesn't take away from the possibility that they are also a serial killer.
We can't even confirm Ferraro's blank slate theory.
The science has suggested that when we're born, we actually do have coding. Right? We do have ways in which we are going to be perceiving the world around us. Now, of course, external influences change who we are and how we're going to respond to those things. but we're not necessarily a blank slate.
But according to Ramsland, a motive may be hard to pin down.
So they have a variety of motives, but their personalities tend to have that rigidity and that inability to go with life's hard knocks and to believe that they're entitled to more and that they need to punish people for them not getting what they think they deserve.
Ferraro has his own theory about a motive.
I don't see this as this grandiose thing where he was trying to get away with it. I think he had this compulsion, this need, this necessity to do it. And he's probably always wanted to do it and finally said, F it, I'm going to do it.
At least part of Ferraro's theory seems to be accurate. Kohberger had no run-ins with the law while in the Lehigh Valley.
We had no indication he was here at all. We had no indication he had any interaction with law enforcement at all.
After news broke of his arrest, Northampton County District Attorney Terry Houck says his team reviewed area cold cases for a possible link to Kohberger.
When you have somebody that might have serial attached to their name, you just want to make a check to see if there's any connection, since he had contact with the county, and there was none here in Northampton County.
Similar investigations were also conducted in neighboring Lehigh County. We reached out to District Attorney Jim Martin, who declined an interview. But while sitting down with Houck, we learned news of Kohberger's arrest came as a shock for the community.
Obviously, it's the reaction that everybody has. It's just, it's like a close to home thing, because then you're watching, people are posting Facebook pictures of him on campus, on some campus close by or something like that.
One such campus is Northampton Community College, where Kohberger made the dean's list and later received an Associate of Arts and Psychology degree in 2018, before his time at DeSales.
Northampton County Community College is a beautiful school, and it's a lot of, it's a well-respected academic institution, and I would call it a pillar in the community, and there's a lot of kids that go there.
Kohberger himself commuted about 50 miles from Albrightsville to the college's Bethlehem campus while studying for his degree. Law and Crime Network reached out to NCC for this story to learn more about Kohberger's time at the school. The senior director of marketing and communications replied in part, quote, "This isn't something we'd like to pursue at the moment, and we'll be in touch should anything change." But in an area filled with college-age students, it's possible Kohberger flew under the radar altogether.
He would have been indistinguishable from any of the other college students, young adults, recent college graduates, or graduate students going around the Lehigh Valley. Even if he had a run-in in a bar, that would not have been anything unusual or even really noteworthy. Not until hindsight.
According to multiple reports, Kohberger frequented the brewery Seven Sirens while he attended college in the area. According to the interviews, Kohberger made multiple women uncomfortable, so much so that a record of his interactions was kept, noting that he made staff concerned about his strange behavior. We reached out to the Seven Sirens owner multiple times and never received a response. But Delatorre says labeling Kohberger as a killer because of these alleged interactions may be a rush to judgment.
They may be engaging in that fundamental attribution error where they're linking all of these things to describe who he is as a person, forgetting that there are many different external influences, that it's certainly possible that all of this stuff, that he was being reactionary. And I think that that's also part of, if he did do this, that reactionary aspect is kind of maybe what compelled him to engage in this particular act.
But could Kohberger's connection to criminal justice have played a role in the murders?
The course that I took that stands out is psychological sleuthing, where you basically enter the mind of a killer. She would give you sheets, and basically the sheets would denote and detail a crime. However, you wouldn't know who did what per se or where this was, but you'd have to, it was a group thing, so you'd get partnered up or in groups, and you would go through these activities and basically come up with a theory or a thesis and then challenge it to Dr. Ramsland.
DeSales boasts a robust criminal justice program, promoting hands-on training and courses taught by renowned professors.
They have an entire house, they call it the crime scene house, that is used for simulations for crime scene investigation or collecting evidence or crime scene photography. or responding to other emergencies.
But according to court documents, Kohberger's criminal justice studies were important enough for detectives to investigate, recovering a criminal psychology book and DeSales University documents from his parents' home when a search warrant was executed.
The Master of Arts in Criminal Justice is awarded to Carlina Kemery. Jenna Cook. Bryan Kohberger.
We reached out to Kohberger's entire criminal justice graduating class for this story, but his classmates either didn't reply or denied our request for an interview. One classmate told us via text that DeSales University, quote, sent a general communication that suggested everything go through the university as to be respectful of the ongoing situation. The Associate Vice President of Marketing and Communications told us via phone the school did not discourage students to speak with the media, but that she was available to assist in media requests on a case-by-case basis. The school's statement via email recapped Kohberger's majors, the years he completed each program, and confirmed he was always a commuter student.
DeSales is just such a close-knit and heartfelt community. Like I said, everybody knows each other. And the fact that really no one knows about this guy, he went in and out.
It's a common theme in Kohberger's past, leaving behind little clues about his isolated personality. Multiple people who knew Kohberger tell us he was strange, but hardly memorable.
He was kind of awkward, but I feel like you can't just write someone off as being crazy just because they're a little awkward, you know?
Just months after his graduation from DeSales, Kohberger moved across the country to Washington to begin his PhD studies in criminal justice at Washington State University.
It's crazy because literally days after these murders happened, he brought it up when I saw him in the hallway.
Just across the hall from Kohberger's Pullman, Washington apartment lives Christian Martinez. He says Kohberger's dad approached him early on.
The dad was wanting to introduce me to Bryan. And he said something, I don't remember the exact word he used to describe him, but it was something that was he has a hard time making friends, or he's kind of shy, or something like that.
Martinez tells us Kohberger kept up with the murders and even brought them up as a topic of conversation.
He was like, "Oh, did you hear about these murders that happened?" And it was so short after they actually happened, there was barely any news articles out, so there wasn't much that I could have read. So I was like, yeah, man, that's crazy. Yeah, of course I've heard about him. And he was like, yeah, it seems like they don't have any leads. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's not much about it, you know? There's nothing, I have no details really to say. But yeah, and then he's like, yeah, it seems like they think it was a crime of passion. Those were the two things he said, was that they had no leads and they think it was a crime of passion.
On top of that, Kohberger may have had a fascination with death or killing.
One thing that stuck out was, it was kind of on the subject of what it would take to take someone's life. It was kind of he was trying to see my perspective on I guess taking someone's life.
After the pair were first introduced last summer, Martinez invited Kohberger to a pool party, and they saw each other occasionally after that. At that same party, Zach Cartwright met Kohberger for the first time.
He did seem pretty kind of just socially awkward and kind of hard to carry a conversation with, if I remember correctly. But besides that, he mainly just stood to the side and was really observant, and so much so that based on that one small interaction, he knew exactly who I was maybe a month or so later when I saw him on that hike.
When they crossed paths again, Cartwright says it was strange how quickly Kohberger recognized him.
It was really weird how he approached me and the people that I was with, because he acted kind of like we were best friends, or it was like a reunion or something, and he was really excited to see us, and I had no idea really who he was right at that second.
Those two small interactions proved important enough for Cartwright to be interviewed by the FBI after Kohberger's arrest.
I did speak to the FBI at one point. I do believe that they spoke to a lot of people that were at that party. It may be because that was one of his very first times, if not his first time in Moscow.
Martinez and his wife were also interviewed by the FBI. He tells us his wife always felt something was off with the now suspected murderer.
She didn't have a good feeling about him, because every time I would tell her I'm going to invite Bryan, you know, because he didn't have any friends. You know, I was trying to bring him out and maybe meet people he can, you know, relate to. But she was always like, no, please don't. Like, there was just something about him that she didn't like.
In recalling their conversations after Kohberger's arrest, some key points stick out.
I guess looking back, it's kind of funny because he was talking about how, what was he? He was talking about genealogy because I was talking about the 23andMe because my sister had just did all that, and then he brought up something similar in his studies that had to do with like being able to catch criminals because of their relatives' DNA, which is I guess how he got caught up in his mix.
The probable cause affidavit released after Kohberger's arrest revealed a knife sheath was left behind at the crime scene, containing a single source of male DNA. When compared with DNA recovered from the trash at Kohberger's parents' home, it proved to be a near perfect match. When the FBI interviewed Martinez, they asked whether he had ever seen Kohberger with a similar weapon.
They just asked about like if he had a knife on him or anything like that. If I ever noticed him with a knife. You know, I didn't. He never had anything on him like that.
When Thanksgiving approached less than 2 weeks after the murders, Moscow police announced their investigation would continue through the holiday.
I want to assure you, first off, that the loss of Xana, Kaylee, Madison, and Ethan remains the highest priority for the Moscow Police Department. We will continue putting all of our resources into investigating and solving these murders. Investigators are prepared to work through the Thanksgiving holiday to continue their efforts.
As local, state, and federal police continued on in the early stages of the investigation, Kohberger texted Martinez on Thanksgiving, reading, quote, "Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family."
It kind of made me feel bad because me and my wife were talking and like how I was like one of the people that he made friends with. And then it kind of made me feel bad, you know, like, I don't know. What if it would have made a difference that I had been able to like meet up with him the times that I could have? Like maybe that would have changed anything if it would have, but I don't know.
According to court documents, investigators believe the murders happened just 11 days before Kohberger sent Martinez that Thanksgiving text between 4 and 4:25 a.m. A white suspect vehicle was seen near the home at that time and multiple times after. Investigators later determined it was a 2011 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. Weeks after the murders, Moscow police put out photos of an Elantra, saying it was a vehicle of interest. The following week, Kohberger was behind the wheel of his white Hyundai Elantra when he was pulled over by police.
So you're coming from Washington State University, and you're going where? Oh. You're going to be going to Pennsylvania. Oh, okay.
Kohberger was actually stopped twice in Indiana, about 10 minutes apart, as he drove cross-country with his father from Washington to Pennsylvania for his winter break. Both times, he was stopped for following another vehicle too closely. When the Pennsylvania search warrant was executed at Kohberger's parents' home, investigators recovered multiple items from the vehicle, including hiking boots, a shovel, goggles, and a wrench. Court documents also show one of the surviving roommates saw the suspect the night of the murders, noting he was 5'10" or taller with bushy eyebrows. Martinez agrees he had a memorable look.
Like every time I would like talk to him, my wife describes it as like a death stare. And like it kind of is like you know, you make eye contact with people, but like you're not like constantly like just staring at him. He would be like constantly like staring at me, like he's just trying to like analyze me. But that was a feeling I would get.
After Kohberger's arrest in Pennsylvania, he appeared in Monroe County Court on January 3rd. Cameras weren't allowed inside the hearing, but Law and Crime Network was in the courtroom, where he waived his right to extradition. He was later flown to Idaho and charged with all 4 murders.
It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th of 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did unlawfully enter a residence located at 1122 King Road, Moscow, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder.
Right now, Kohberger is being held in Latah County Jail in Idaho without bail. As we await his next court appearance in June, questions about his inner psyche remain.
Still so much to learn about who Bryan Kohberger is, not just as the person alleged to have committed this crime, but just who he is and how he walked through his life. There's still so much to learn that anybody who says that they know who he was they actually don't, because my contention is that I don't think he even knew who he was.
Kohberger is due back in court in June for a preliminary hearing that's expected to last multiple days. Long Crime Network will be in Idaho for the hearing, where both sides are expected to call witnesses and present evidence. For the latest developments in the University of Idaho murders, make sure to follow Long Crime Network's YouTube page. Reporting for Long Crime Network, I'm Sierra Gillespie.
All right. That's the Law and Crime Network. I wanted to do that, just play that recap to kind of summarize, everything that we've been doing in this past 7 parts to the series of looking back. What I want to do now, and I have a little bit more time here, so I'll hang out with all of you, is I want to go back to a video that was posted, I believe, yesterday or the day before on the channel Lawyer You Know. And he's going to talk a little bit more in detail, because he actually is a lawyer, about kind of the Bethany Funke interview. So let's pull that up, and keep in mind, too, that the state has added 2 deputy attorneys as well. So they're kind of beefing up their team of lawyers, maybe to lighten the load a little bit. I feel, in my opinion, that the case for the prosecution is pretty strong, as we know that we have a lot of evidence that's been put into this case from the prosecution, and only right now 2 pieces of evidence from the defense. So let's pull this up and play this as well. Shout out to the Lawyer You Know. Great channel.
Which happens. And they just had a lot of questions about what the 2 new details that have come out, what they mean. And we're going to talk about both of them today, starting with the 2 new attorneys that are going to be added to the prosecution team. And then we will get to that motion to quash, that subpoena, Bethany Funke, what's going to happen there. So if you guys haven't already, hit that like button on your way in as we begin the video. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We're only like 50 subscribers away. Last time I checked, I can check again right now, to 221,000. We just keep.
So this video here is going to make a lot of people happy. A lot of people happy, because it's not going to go with my feeling on this case. So I know that a lot of people in the chat will be happy today.
Slowly climbing our way. Yeah, we're 50 subscribers away. So if you have not subscribed yet, you could be the 221,000 subscriber to our channel. Thank you so much for joining us today, and let's get into it. So first up, we have the petition to approve special prosecutors on this case. Petition for appointment of a special assistant attorney general comes now. The Latah County prosecuting attorney William Thompson, and pursuant to this Idaho rule, petitions the court for the appointment of a special assistant attorney general, and in support of this request states, I am the duly elected Latah County prosecuting attorney. I have the duty to prosecute all felony criminal actions committed in Latah County pursuant to Idaho Code 312604 as the prosecuting attorney. I petition this court to appoint Deputy Attorney General Jeff Nye and Deputy Attorney General Ingrid Beatty as special assistant attorneys
can't get the
general.
view that I want.
Not sure how you would exactly say that. Attorney generals, I think, is what I would say, but maybe this is the right way. To assist in the prosecution of State v. Kohberger. I know I have some grammar teachers and experts in the chat, so I'm sure you'll let me know. I seek assistance in this case in order to utilize the expertise and additional resources of the Office of the Attorney General. We have seen this before. In the Alec Murdaugh case, the Attorney General was brought in. More there because of potential conflicts and issues, but they have certain resources that just a county prosecutor's office doesn't have. So it's more resources, more manpower and woman power, more experts, more funding. So that's important. A lot of people are saying attorneys general. Doesn't surprise me. They did it right and I was wrong. Paragraph 5. The Attorney General's office has agreed in writing to assist the Latah County Prosecuting Attorney's Office in this matter. Pursuant to the written agreement, the Attorney General's office has agreed to pay the salaries of its personnel who assist in the prosecution. That's huge. That saves the county money and gives them additional help that they need to focus in on this case, which the public defender's office is allocating a lot of resources to defending Bryan Kohberger. So they want to make sure that they put the money, time, energy, and resources necessary to handle this case the right way. So, what did the court think about this? This was filed on April 24th of 2023. Do we think the court is going to allow it? Well, not only did they allow it, on April 24th, the same day, we have the judge order appointing special assistant attorneys general. The above matter having come before the court upon petition of the Latah County prosecuting attorney and good cause appearing, it is hereby the same day ordered that Deputy Attorney General Jeff Nye and Deputy Attorney General Ingrid Beatty be appointed as special assistant attorneys general to assist the prosecution of this case. When you petition the court and you have good cause, it's very unlikely that a judge is going to say no. So, who here thinks, and this is just a poll for you guys. I should have done a poll. Maybe we can. Is it hard? All right, let's do a poll. John's sitting over there today. We're going to do a poll today, and the poll is going to be, what does adding 2 assistant attorneys general to the case show you about how the Latah County prosecutor feels about this case? Something close to that. Okay. And the potential answers are confident, scared, or neither. Neither is just whatever. They needed more. It doesn't matter. They added these prosecutors. It's a nothing burger. Scared means they didn't think they could handle it on their own, so they had to bring in the big guns. Or confident. They feel like they've got a case that they're going to win, and they want to make sure it's done right. Okay, overworked. Overworked is probably a good one. Have you already done it or no? Put overworked in there as well. So 4 options. Can we do 4? All right. Confident, scared, overworked, or nothing. Nothing burger. Why not? Let's do nothing burger. I feel like that's going to get a lot of votes just because it's our thing here. All right. So once that poll is up and we have some votes on it, I will let you know what the results are. To me, I think overworked is probably a good explanation. I think there's probably a good explanation for scared. And I think there's probably a good argument for confident, that they feel like they're going to win and they just want to make sure. Now, fear does not mean they think they're bad lawyers or anything like that. When I say scared, I think fear comes into a prosecutor's mind of letting a murderer go free. Nobody wants to do that. Messing up a very big, high profile, important case. You saw what it did to the careers of the prosecutor in the O.J. Simpson case. Cautious is a good one. Unfortunately, we can't do 20 options, but go vote for whatever one you think is the closest. And if none of those ones work for you, then you can put a nothing burger. But I am interested in what everybody thinks and what their reaction is when they find out that they had to go out and they brought in 2 additional attorneys general. Interesting. I'll probably never forget that. So, John, let me know when we have maybe 5.
Just recognize the super chat. I got a $5 super chat from Public Buzz. Says, almost became a member so I could talk. Here's $5. Hope everyone's having a good day. The opinion is killing it. Yeah, we're just, we're hanging out. We're trying to build this community. Look at, I think I probably got a little bit quiet today, on this. I think people a little bit disappointed that, it wasn't quite the breaking news they were looking for. But the way that we're looking at this is that it's a public statement. It's the first public statement from DM and BF. Yes, it's not violating the gag order, but it shows a public presence. And, what I'm trying to do here is I've said from the beginning, I stick to the facts in this case. I think everybody knows where I lean in this case, but we can't go off on crazy tangents. That's what I'm trying to steer. And I try to keep truth and honesty in this case. And I understand that opinions are going to vary. People are going to have different ideas. People are going to come to different conclusions. I'm a little bit stubborn when it comes to stuff like that, because usually when I stay a certain way, I'm convicted with staying into that way, into that specific way, unless you could prove me otherwise, unless you could show me tangible evidence to swing me in a certain direction. I'm just trying to keep it real here. I'm trying to keep it real for everybody to come to this platform, have fun, not attack each other, not attack the host. But I get it. That's what happens when you publicly open yourself up like this. Listen, I'm not a lawyer. I've said that from the beginning. I've dabbled and dipped in legal, legal cases. I enjoy watching the first 48. I enjoy watching trial law. I enjoy watching YouTube channels. That's why I did this, to bring a little bit more public presence to this case. And I know there's a bunch of people out there that are doing material on this case. I get that. I'm not always going to be right. I'm not always going to be wrong. I try to tend to show both sides of the story. It's difficult sometimes when you come and you stream live. It's difficult. You see people coming at you. But listen, I've opened myself up and expect it back, because I'm going to give it back to you. And that's why I say, when people have, I think it's a cartel, or they're involved in drugs, and I heard this and I heard that, show me a credible source. Show me a credible source, and we'll talk about it. We'll run with it. But we got to stick to the facts in this case. We have to honor these victims. We have to honor these victims' families. We have to honor the witnesses right now, because they're very important, whether it's for the prosecution or the defense. And I've always said, Bryan Kohberger right now is innocent until proven guilty, until he has his day in court. But we can have opinions. We can have opinions, and we can do that here on this platform. So Public Buzz, I appreciate that. The $5. I've dropped an email to you. If you want to do something, let's get together and do it. I don't know if you got my return email, but I did reach back out to you. And is Drunk Turkey as well too. I don't want to fight anybody, and I don't want to go up against anybody. That's not what I'm doing here. We're all killing it in this. And I don't, want to use that word lightly. We all have our specific ideas and the way that we run our channels. I want to build a community, and I've said that. It's better to work with people than against them. And you know what? We may not all agree sometimes. And that's okay. That's why we have public debates like this. That's why we give our opinions. But, if anybody out there, they want to work with me or come on the stream or hang out, please, let's get together and do it. It's fun. It's rough sometimes when you're sitting here for 3 hours and you don't have anybody else to talk to. It's tough. One-man shows are tough to come up with material every day that you live stream. And I'm not always going to be right. And I'm not always going to be wrong. But if I can provide a flat platform for people to come here, open themselves up, give some new ideas and perspectives. I don't want to come on live and get attacked. That's not what I'm here for. And nor should anybody get attacked. So I appreciate that. Let me go up and recognize this other super sticker here too. And I'll play some tones for everybody in a second. Helena gives me, I don't know what this currency is, but it's pretty cool. It looks like 1,500. But thank you so much for that super sticker. I just had to kind of let the chat simmer a little bit. All right, so let's do this. Let's get some tones here for you guys.
Great cash, homie.
You can do it. You can build this community. We can build this community. We can build it together. We can all create a public platform, and we have to be advocates in these cases. We have to get information out there. And like I said, I am not a lawyer at all. I'm just some idiot in my bedroom that makes videos, that comes live and gives you water cooler talk. I've said that from the beginning. I don't understand a lot of all the legal language in this. I try to understand it. I try to interpret it as best I can. But I didn't go to law school, Again, I'm not always right, and I'm not always wrong. I think I have some pretty good arguments sometimes. All right, I think I got another membership here that I have to recognize. Carrie H has gifted a 1-month membership to Army Mom of 2. So congratulations to Army Mom of 2. And like we always say, let's do the tones. Let's do the tones. Let's do the tones. Thank you for becoming a new member of the channel. I'm going to do this right now. I'm feeling good right now. So let's do this. Let's gift out a membership. And then I'm going to gift out a membership now. And if we can get to 100 likes in the chat there, I will gift another membership. All right. Let's see who got the D Smalls is now a member of the channel. D Smalls. All right, let's keep playing through here.
500-ish votes, and we can start to get a feel. Okay, what is it at? Yeah, what is the percentage?
23% confident, 25% scared, 17% neither.
You're welcome.
Okay, so it is almost a complete split 4 ways. It was like 23% confident, 25% scared, 17% neither, and 35% overworked. So overworked is winning the day right now, but we will see. We will see how it ends up.
I'm just going to make this announcement too. We are 3 subscribers away from hitting 3,600 on the old sub count. So maybe by the end of the stream, we can lean over the sub count board and change that to 3,600. Just need 3 more people. If you're in here, 3 more people to subscribe, and we'll be at the 3,600 subscriber threshold. And I want to get to that 5,000 subscribers by June 26th. We got this. We can do it. Let's build this community. All right, let's keep playing through here.
Yeah, it's still live, so go ahead and vote if you haven't yet. All right, let's bring up Brian Etten's tweet, which a lot of you tagged me in here. About this. So this was filed after we discussed the subpoena, the motion to quash, what was going to happen, why they want to do that. Actually, before I share this, let's talk for a second. So the goal was for the defense to be able to question Bethany Funke, a potential victim or witness in this case. That was there.
I've said it all along, Heather. I've said it all along. She says, Brian, most platforms in true crime are not lawyers and don't have a huge legal background. I'm just a schmuck in my bedroom making videos. That's it. I'm just an idiot in my bedroom making videos. That's all I am.
A surviving roommate about what happened. They believe she has exculpatory evidence. They want to put her up in front of the judge at the preliminary hearing. Okay. That was kind of the deal of what we were told. And her lawyers did not want to have to make her come out and testify. Didn't want to have her talk to the defense. It doesn't even say that she has exculpatory evidence. It says may. They didn't do the subpoena right. All those objections to try to block it. Okay. Then we get here. A stipulation and request for an order. And I will just tell you, if this was attorneys playing nice and everybody was cool and knew each other and trusted each other, they would just say, all right, I'll withdraw the subpoena. Can we just set up an interview? Funke's attorneys say, yeah, let's set up an interview. We'll come out. We'll talk to her. We'll do it by Zoom, whatever it is. We'll make it easier on her, as easy as possible. We know it's a difficult time, but let's do this. That's not what happened. I don't know if these lawyers know each other. I know they're from different states.
I'm going to pause this for a second. We have hit the 3,600 subscriber mark here on the Opinionated Idiot YouTube channel. I want to thank all of you for coming over to this channel and subscribing, all the people that have been supporting me. It's hilarious. You know, I just go back and look, 3 months ago, I had barely break 5 people on a live. We're sitting here today, as I look right now, at about 216 people midday on a Friday coming to hang out on the Opinionated Idiot YouTube channel. It's been a crazy ride. And I'll tell you, I think I'm going to be real with you all right now. I think this is, it's all come really fast. It's all come really hard at me. I not only do a YouTube channel, but I balance my personal life and I balance my work life as well. I take this channel extremely serious. I'm very passionate about what I'm doing here. I want to build this community as big as I can. Sometimes I know I get a little bit snippy, but it's because I care. I care about this community. I care about this channel, and I care about all of you. That's what you're going to get with me. I'm a little snippy sometimes. It's tough. It's a tough balance. It's a tough road. I want to see the success of the channel. I don't want to work a day job anymore. I want to make this my day job. I want to make this my life job. I'm still learning through a lot of the process of doing this as well too, and then balancing, the daily emails that come through that I try to get back to everybody. I've been starting to do merchandise. I have bracelets that I'm going to be selling soon. It's a tough balance sometimes, and mentally it's a tough balance, to balance all that out. I have a Discord chat that I have to be present in, and I have conversations off that chat, and I have preparation for shows 3 nights a week. So it's a tough balance sometimes. I enjoy it. And I tell you, over the last week, I did get burned out a lot. I was working a lot at work, 12, 13-hour shifts, and then coming home and doing a show. I get real. Here. I like to get real. I like to be honest with all of you. I like to be transparent. I don't bullshit people. I just don't do that. I don't think it's not good. It's not good for business. So, I guess I'm kind of venting a little bit to all of you, but I appreciate it. This is awesome. 3,600. Let's get the board updated here because you guys all make it happen. You make this channel run. That's it. You make this channel run. I just provide the platform. That's it. And the feedback that I need from you to keep this channel going. So, hopefully one day, like I said, my dream is to get this out of I'm literally in my bedroom, get this out of my bedroom and get this into a real working studio someday and create, an amazing environment for people to come into and have real guests and interview them and, maybe advocate for some people that are having troubles, with cold cases that may be related to the family. I see the chats that are coming through. I'll get to those chats in 2 seconds, but this is a big milestone and we're getting there. I want that 5,000 subscriber mark by June 26th, the supposed date of Bryan Kohberger's first day in his preliminary hearing. So let me just get the double zeros here. We'll get that thrown up on the board. And like I said, I appreciate everybody. I mean, it's a midday Friday afternoon for everybody to come in and chill here and hang out. And we'll wrap up this video here in a moment. So, 3,600. Let's play some cheers.
Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing.
All right. Let me get back to these super chats so I can recognize them. I appreciate all the love that's coming in. It's really nice. I think it started with Firefly. First, she gifted, she gifted a couple of memberships away, 5 memberships. So we're going to play the tones on those, as you know that we always do. Do the tones. All right. And Carrie H for her generous donation. Let me go back up here. We'll start with the super sticker from Carrie H. Thank you so much. $19.99 super sticker. I appreciate you so much for supporting the channel. All that money goes right back into the channel to keep this channel moving along. We also have a $2 Canadian super sticker from Victorine. And Victorine is always the first person in the chat. She always says hello. I appreciate you being here as well on this midday afternoon. Let's give her the tones.
Great cash, homie.
I see everybody chatting away. Let's see. And then the $4.99 super sticker from Candy. Thank you so much again. I appreciate you. Appreciate the support as well.
Great cash, homie.
All right. PB in the house, PB in the house, PB in the house, PB in the house. Yeah, man, let's do something. Let's work together. Let's build this community. Like I said, let's get that panel going. Me, you, Drunk Turkey. Let's get that panel going. Everybody else is doing it. We're missing out. Let's get this panel going. Let's get our minds together and figure out if we can figure out what the hell's going on. All right, let's keep playing this.
But it seems like they were only able to get the subpoena withdrawn in a give and take quid pro quo transaction. We will withdraw our subpoena if you agree to an interview. And we will only do all of this if the court orders us to do this agreement. Because if they don't, then we're going to subpoena her because we think we have a right to subpoena her.
Oh,
I
shit.
do not
I'm not
see
even
this
playing
as
the video.
defense giving up. I actually see this as a defense win, and we'll talk about why. Who do you think won this situation?
Bing, bing,
Defense?
bong, bong, bing, bing, bing.
I guess we'll say BF as the other one because the state was not really involved in this as much. All right, comes now. Kelly Ann Valoria. That's the lawyer on behalf of Bethany Grace Funk and Evelyn Grosnick, interim Washoe County public defender, on behalf of the defendant, Bryan Kohberger, and jointly stipulate that the subpoena issued on April 11, 2023, commanding Bethany Grace Funk to appear before the Second Judicial Court of the state of Idaho, County of Latah, Moscow, Idaho, on June 28, 2023, shall be withdrawn and or quashed. It doesn't really matter. The subpoena power is gone. The threat and the remedies, if she does not comply with the subpoena, are gone. And that Bethany Grace Funk should be released from the subpoena. The basis for this stipulation is that Bethany Grace Funk, through her attorney, has agreed. The basis for this stipulation, the consideration here, for anybody that knows what a contract is, right? Or what an agreement is, an offer, acceptance, and consideration for that. The consideration is she has agreed to an interview with Idaho Defense Counsel in Reno, Nevada. So maybe that's going to be Grosnick that's doing the interview. In lieu, meaning instead of proceeding forward with the subpoena for preliminary hearing now set June 26th through June 30th, 2023. Pursuant to the rule, the undersigned does hereby affirm that the preceding document does not contain the social security number of any person. 26th of April, which was yesterday. Signed by both lawyers. Both lawyers had to agree to this language. Both lawyers had to agree to the stipulation. Both lawyers had to agree to what each side is giving. One side is withdrawing a subpoena or allowing it to be quashed. The other side is agreeing to an interview. And here are some questions. And I love you guys because you bring the questions. So I have some thoughts on what this means, but I'm going to get them out in the form of answering your questions. Christine, welcome to the membership crew. And Brain Go Girl. And MJC.
There, his face is larger now, so all the ladies can melt a little bit more.
With Carrie Lynn. All right. Darcy asked, when is the interview? That's a great question.
I'm secure in my masculinity. He's a good looking dude. He's got it going on with the
And the
long
answer
hair. He
is
kind of looks like one of those dudes on the romance novels. I picture like the fan blowing and his hair. What is it? Wisping in the wind. So
don't know. But if you want my guess, it will be in advance of the preliminary hearing. They will know what she has to say prior
looks
to
like
a preliminary
Fabio.
hearing. Does this mean, I'm going to ask myself a question here. Does this mean that, sorry, I just lost my train of thought with the comments. So we don't know when it is, but does this mean that she will not participate in the preliminary hearing? Not necessarily. If she does have actual exculpatory evidence, they may get exactly what they need to file another subpoena. Or
Yeah, he does.
if she's cooperating with the defense, because it does not say that she will never be subpoenaed again. Okay. But if she cooperates with the defense, she gives them a statement and it does have exculpatory evidence, they may produce an affidavit. They may produce her by Zoom. They may find other ways to use that exculpatory evidence in the preliminary hearing if one happens. I have heard rumblings and people have told me, thank you, Anita, that people
Probably a nicer guy than
or that people are saying that now they're just going to go to the grand jury and we're never going to have a preliminary hearing. Well, it seems like if you read the rules in Idaho, that's possible. The defendant has a right to a preliminary hearing in the event that the state does not go and get an indictment from the grand jury, which would mean then if they go through the grand jury, then he would no longer have a right to a preliminary hearing. And I will just tell you, her not showing up for the preliminary hearing, whether or not she has what they think is exculpatory evidence, whether they
I think lawyer is outdoing me in publicly busting.
go to a grand jury or a preliminary hearing, these charges are going to stick. We are going to move forward in this case with Bryan Kohberger as the defendant. I am very confident in that. Whatever she says in her interview, whatever she would say at the preliminary hearing, I firmly believe it would not be enough for the judge to not find probable cause. I firmly believe that even if the state presents Bethany Funke or whatever it is that she's going to say in a secret grand jury proceeding, they are still going to indict Bryan Kohberger for these crimes. So I'm sorry if I'm busting any bubbles or killing any theories, but I firmly would believe that. I would be absolutely floored if a grand jury came back without an indictment, or if they go to the preliminary hearing and the judge is like, nope, not enough to find good cause shown here to go forward on this, regardless of what evidence comes in. I don't think anything's going to happen between now and June 26th to change that. GG golfer.
So I don't know where, I guess there was some people saying in the chat that it was a win for the defense. I don't think he's saying that at all. I think that no matter what, this is going to go forward to trial, or at least to the preliminary hearing. So I don't know where in here it said that it was a win for the defense. I mean, he just said it. I don't want to bust anybody's bubble, but this is going to go forward. There's going to be charges against him, against Bryan Kohberger. They're going to go forward with this case.
Girl, just sub.
It's not going to change anything.
Is this going to be a deposition style interview? Great question. Great question. So usually, when you agree to an interview, or when someone agrees to an interview with the defense attorney and they are a victim or a witness that we'll just say is more favorable to the prosecution or seemingly more
did I miss something?
Favorable if they're just telling the truth, and maybe that truth.
If you can get me the timestamp, maybe I missed something.
Seems like if you read the rules in Idaho, withdrawing a subpoena or allowing it to be quashed, the other side is agreeing to an interview. And here are some questions. And I love you guys because you bring the questions.
Am I back where it is? Because I missed it. Just let me know in the chat.
So I have some thoughts on what this means, but I'm going to get them out in the form of answering your questions. Christine, welcome to the membership crew. And Brain Go Girl. And MJC with Carrie Lynn. All right.
Crime Time in the house. Says, hey, everyone. First time catching you live. I'm here with the co-host for True Crime Dog and Dago. Hey, welcome to the chat. Glad that you're over here hanging out. We're just going through this, all the Bethany Funke, all the information in Bethany Funke, kind of hashing out here in the chat. Thanks for coming by and hanging out. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer, just hanging out and giving my interpretation of what's going on here. But I appreciate you stopping by.
Darcy asked, when is the interview? That's a great question. And the answer is we don't know. But if you want my guess, it will be in advance of the preliminary hearing. They will know what she has to say prior to a preliminary hearing. Does this mean, I'm going to ask myself a question here. Does this mean that, sorry, I just lost my train of thought with the comments. So we don't know when it is, but does this mean that she will not participate in the preliminary hearing? Not necessarily. If she does have actual exculpatory evidence, they may get exactly what they need to file another subpoena. Or if she's cooperating with the defense, because it does not say that she will never be subpoenaed again. Okay. But if she cooperates with the defense, she gives them a statement and it does have exculpatory evidence, they may produce an affidavit. They may produce her by Zoom. They may find other ways to use that exculpatory evidence in the preliminary hearing if one happens. I have heard rumblings and people have told me, thank you, Anita, that people are saying that, well, now they're just going to go to the grand jury and we're never going to have a preliminary hearing. Well, it seems like if you read the rules in Idaho, that's possible. The defendant has a right to a preliminary hearing in the event that the state does not go and get an indictment from the grand jury, which would mean then if they go through the grand jury, then he would no longer have a right to a preliminary hearing. And I will just tell you,
I think it's going to go right to grand jury anyway. We talked about that last night on last night's stream. If anybody didn't check that out and go back, it's part 7 of my Idaho 4 looking back. And my sleuther, Lauren, Agent Chase and I talked about that. And we think that this preliminary hearing is going to get skipped and it's going to go right.
her not showing up for the preliminary hearing, whether or not she has what they think is exculpatory evidence, whether they go to a grand jury or a preliminary hearing, these charges are going to
I think so
stick.
too, Mama.
We are going to move forward in this case with Bryan Kohberger as the defendant. I am very confident in that.
Okay, so we've got that out of the way. I'm still waiting.
Whatever she says in her
win for the
interview,
defense
whatever she
was.
would say at the preliminary hearing, I firmly believe it would not be enough for the judge to not find probable cause. I firmly believe that even if the state presents Bethany Funke or whatever it is that she's going to say in a secret grand jury proceeding, they are still going to indict Bryan Kohberger for these crimes. So I'm sorry if I'm busting any bubbles or killing any theories, but I firmly would believe that. I would be.
Do I need to go back or did I miss anything? Because I still haven't heard that it's a win for the defense. Where did he say it? Because if I can go back, I'll go back. Because I haven't heard it yet.
Absolutely floored if a grand jury came back without an indictment, or if they go to the preliminary hearing and the judge is like, nope, not enough to find good cause shown here to go forward on this.
Because if I'm wrong, I want to go back and be corrected. So if anybody knows where it was, because I played back almost 8 minutes, I can go back because I want to hear him say it.
Regardless of what evidence comes in. I don't think anything's going to happen between now and June 26th to change that. GG Golfer Girl. Just subbed. Is this going to be a deposition style interview? Great question. Great question. So usually when you agree to an interview, or when someone agrees to an interview with the defense attorney and they are a victim or a witness that we'll just say is more favorable to the prosecution, or seemingly more, maybe not favorable if they're just telling the truth, and maybe that truth can be good for one side or the other, but I should say more friendly with the prosecution, which I'm going to guess she is.
He tweeted it? Okay,
Usually,
I'll check his tweet out later.
It is not a deposition style interview.
I didn't hear him. And the thing is, I'm looking at a chat. I'm trying to watch this. I'm looking at another screen up here. So if I'm wrong, I want to be corrected and make sure that I'm right. It's corrected. But, no matter what, in the end of all of this case is going to go forward.
To make it a little bit less formal. There's not as many rules. Sometimes you'll record it, right? Even if it's not with a stenographer, we'll ask them, can we record this? So that we can play it back.
Video.
Or we can transcribe it. That's something else that happened in the Murdaugh trial. They had some recorded interviews. I think it was with one of the caretakers for the Murdaugh parents, and they had it transcribed. Lawyers do that all the time. I've also seen some rumblings that, oh, this is great because now they can have an interview with Bethany Funke and the state will have no idea what evidence the defense has. And I do not believe that to be the case. While they may not have to just hand over the transcription, if they plan to use anything from it at trial, they will have to disclose it for the most part. But more than that, and even if they don't have to disclose it, because I've seen some rules that I think could be read in some different ways, why in the world would Bethany Funke agree to an interview and talk to the defense and then not also tell the prosecutor what she saw or what she heard or what she specifically told the defense? There's a lot of what ifs. There's a lot of maybes. There's a lot of possibly what could happen. But I see no world in which she tells the defense something that she does not also tell the prosecutor, unless it's something inadvertent where she says, yeah, I woke up that afternoon, and then she tells the prosecutors it was that morning. So the defense is like, oh, she didn't even wake up till afternoon. I'm totally making that up. But an inadvertent difference might happen. But I would be shocked if they found out something from Bethany Funke that the prosecutor didn't already know or that she's not willing to share with them. So I do not think this is going to be some secret piece of evidence or smoking gun or hide the ball type of deal with the defense.
Does anybody have a link to the tweet? I just want to listen. Twitter to me is like, it's like a schizophrenic words of chaos. Like it's one of the most unreadable platforms. That's why I don't use Twitter, because I wish you could just literally click on, and maybe I'm messed up on it because I don't go on Twitter much. I wish you could just literally go to someone's profile, click on tweets, and just see all the tweets that they've made and not all the replies below it. So maybe it's a setting that I don't have correct, and maybe I don't know if they have that. I don't know if they have that setting on there to decipher all of that. That's why I don't use it. But I don't know. In this video, it seems to me that he just kind of saying it doesn't matter. They're just going to go forward with the with indicting Bryan Kohberger anyway. Even if maybe he said it was a win for the defense, it's still going to go forward.
I think this will, whether the rules require it or not, I think this will be disclosed at some point.
Twitter is
by
the
the
most
defense or by Bethany
unreadable
Funke
thing
herself.
on the planet. I think it's great because you can get information out quick and source information quickly if you can read through all the nonsense. But it is so unreadable.
Jules, anyone have a link to his merchandise store, please? Yes. Can we put it in the chat, John? All right. We will put the merch site in the chat.
Everybody's hating on Twitter.
So you can check that out. It's lawyeruknow.com.
Twitter is not the next YouTube.
Ellen, not
Twitter's
Sarah Lee.
dead.
Peter, check your Twitter. Our beloved squirrel
YouTube
passed,
is up and coming.
and help is needed
I
for
hate
her
Twitter.
funeral.
I absolutely
Okay.
hate Twitter.
I did not hear that. That's really sad. Yeah. Feel free to share that in the chat as well, Ellen. And thank you for letting me know. I did not know her personally. I did see her in some chats and on Twitter and things like that. Okay. There is the merch store link. All right. So, other questions surrounding this interview. What will the rules be? How long will it go? And I will tell you, when an agreement is made to interview somebody, the parameters of that are usually very reasonable. An hour, 2 hours, whatever it is agreed upon. Whether or not the attorneys for the victim are going to ask any questions. Sometimes they will, sometimes they're not, or they won't. But usually that's agreed to ahead of time. And honestly, when we have interviews like this, sometimes they're the best kind of interviews because the
Okay, so his tweet. Hang on one second. Pull the tweet up. So he says on the 26th, he said, in my opinion, the win for the defense. Hashtag Kohberger, hashtag Idaho 4. Okay, so he said that on the 26th. This video that it's playing now is on the 28th. Could his opinion changed? Sure. I haven't heard him say in this video that it was a win for the defense. He could be leaning both ways. I don't know. But thanks for providing with the tweet. But here it doesn't really seem like it's a real win. And he said, no matter what, anyway, they're still going to go forward with indicting Bryan Kohberger. I think he feels there's enough evidence to do so, and it would stick, and it would be strong, and a grand jury would indict.
Nervous. Who will be at the interview? That's a good question. It sounds like lawyers from Reno, Nevada, representing Bryan Kohberger. But if I was his attorney, his public defender in Idaho, I'd want to be on that call or in that interview as well.
And thanks for letting me know about that tweet. And I don't know who posted it in my chat, but thank you. Thanks for bringing that up.
If she's not there, I would absolutely, I would have to absolutely believe that it was going to be recorded. So I do think this interview will be recorded, even though it's not going to be a deposition necessarily, and it's probably not going to be under oath. So what's interesting about that is in different jurisdictions, if you take a statement under oath like a deposition, it can be used certain ways at trial. Some jurisdictions allow you to just enter it into evidence as witness testimony. Others allow you to use it to take certain portions of it. And most jurisdictions, of course, allow you to use it as impeachment. However, prior inconsistent statements, even if they're not under oath, can still be used to impeach a witness. So if she says something in this interview and it's recorded or written down, and then she says something different at the preliminary hearing or at trial, she can, and I believe will or would, be impeached with this prior inconsistent statement, if it exists, as the interview at trial by the defense attorneys.
So if I'm trying to understand all the legal language here, and I may be wrong, again, I'm not a lawyer, maybe the defense is just trying to pull her in to catch her on something so she can't be used as a witness. I could be wrong there. I think that's maybe what I'm trying to understand here. Maybe they catch her slipping. She changes her statement multiple times in the statements that she did. They dig a little bit more and they just say, you know, you're not credible for the prosecution. She gets thrown out. And he's saying they caught her. So maybe that's it.
So I guess we put the wrong merch link up, but now it's been corrected. It's lawyeryouknow.com. Susan, this is a great question. Peter, is it possible to get a scheduled time for the live chat video? Because I've missed so many. It used to be 8:45. I miss everyone. Susan, I miss everyone too. I miss the 8:45 chats. 8:45 is so much harder on me because of my family and my kids and being at home. And it just kind of like extends the workday all the way until right before I try to go to sleep. So that's a lot more difficult. So we kind of reserve that for when we're breaking down.
He's got a lot of responsibility too. And this was kind of what I was talking about earlier. You know, listen, we're trying to balance our lives, our daily lives, our work life, and then balance our YouTube lives. And like I was saying, you know, sometimes it does get a little much. It really does, because I try to stay in tune and connect with everybody as much as I can.
Down and reacting to and recapping a trial every night, which some are coming up that we're going to do that to, including the Kohberger preliminary hearing, if that's live streamed in June. Sarah Boone, we've got a couple, you know, in the pipe.
So Heather's saying, you know, hey, I think he probably did change his mind. Remember, everyone lost it when all this information came out. Yeah, of course. And that's the thing is like, you know, you gotta let information come out, give it a few days to analyze and look over it. You know, maybe it was a quick statement that he made. I'm seeing now a couple of days later that maybe his position changed on how he felt. No matter what, you know, like you said, no matter what, this is still going to go. It's still going to go to trial no matter what. There's plenty of evidence there. There's a mountain of evidence there to go through and go over. So, you know, maybe his position did change. You know, that's a good point. Publicly Buzz says 100% 10. It does, man. I literally don't stop all day, real life work and family, and then also keeping on top of this. It's a hard balance. It is sometimes. It's a really hard balance. And then you're trying to, you know, try to get ahead of the curve, you know, when you're reporting, because we're basically reporting news too, and then giving you our opinion. So it's tough. It's tough sometimes to come up with all of that. it does get a little stressful sometimes. I'm sure Publicly Buzz can attest to that. It's a little stressful.
That are still going to be, we're going to be getting back to that. But I try to do it afternoon, sometime between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern. It changes all the time because, as most of you know, I'm still full-time, full caseload practicing.
Yeah, and I think when people hear win and they hear defense, if you're leaning a particular way in this case, if I hear something because I'm very strongly leaning, and again, it's just my opinion, leaning in the way of guilty, and you might have some people really leaning in the way of innocent. So when you hear win for the prosecution, my ears might pop up a little bit, and if you hear win for the defense, your ears might pop up a little bit. So yeah, and everybody here has their own how they feel. I know on a lot of things, Publicly Buzz and I don't agree on. He has his theories and opinions, and I have mine and my opinions. Drunk Turkey, the same thing. Daniel and his crew over there have their way of thinking. And that's why I said it's fun when we all come together on that panel and throw what we think out there and our opinions and our ideas. Sometimes we might sit back and go, hey, I never thought about that, or that's a new way of looking at it, or I learned something today. Let me just drop this up real quick. Public says, I've had some days where I feel like I can do this, but these people make it worth it. Everyone is kind in the true crime community for the large part. It makes you want to go over, work, and connect. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you all here do watch Publicly Buzz, but if you're not, go over there and subscribe to his channel. Give him some thumbs up. Send him some opinionated love over there. We're going to get together here and do something soon. I assume. We'll get another panel going. But if you haven't gone over, go over and check out his channel, subscribe. He's got some really great content over there, doing a lot of Idaho stuff as well. He does some UFO stuff. He was talking with, I think it was Gray People or Gray Matters or something, or Shapeshifters the other day. That was a story that came out of Brazil, which is actually really interesting. I was listening to Joe Rogan. I had, I guess, a gentleman on there that had been researching it for about 20 or 25 years. Very interesting content. So if you haven't, go over, check out Publicly Buzz as well. He's a good dude. And, he's got his, we're just, us small time YouTubers, we're trying to get up here. We're trying to get, our channels going. We want to get our messages out to everybody. It's not about competition. I'm not a competition type of person. I want to work with everybody and build, this community over here, because if us small guys can get out there and get our channels pushed out in the algorithm and get that push, we can grow along with everybody as well. So go check them out. All right, let's keep playing this up. I'm going to wrap up the show. I got some things to do this afternoon, but again, I wanted to jump out and do a quick stream here.
So I usually will block 1 hour as if it's an appointment with a client when I have an afternoon, 3 or 4 days a week, to try to get a live video in as often as I can. So I appreciate
live is the way to go. It's funny. I could not sit down. I tried doing the information that I led with in the beginning of the podcast about Dylan Mortensen, Bethany. I literally tried recording a video. I can't do it. I can't do it. It takes me so long. I'm like, I just need to go live and go live with this, because I'm a streamer. I'm a live streamer. So much
I appreciate you. I appreciate being able to be here. I do miss everybody from the 845 live streams and chats as well. We will get back to that in the next trial, but that's kind of where we're at for now. And I try to do it in this kind of similar time block, but it's not always the same time, and I do apologize for that. Azam, Peter, let John say hit the like button on your way out on screen before you end the stream, please. Let's see if we can do that. Ellen, not Sarah Lee. YouTube won't let me copy and paste it. It's in your Twitter DMs. Okay, I will take a look after the video. Beverly, welcome. Netwoman, can Bethany's attorneys limit the scope of questions to only events of that night and not victim shaming, like questions of the decedent's
100%.
Sex life, drug use, etc.? So here's the great part about an agreement to an interview. It's kind
of... Steve, if you want to drop your link in the chat, please do. If you haven't, guys, go on over and subscribe to Publicly Buzzed. But yeah, drop your link in there, Steve. You're good.
Like
or I can drop it for you.
Portion of the case when you're not in litigation yet. A judge is not overseeing everything you do, right? You can do pretty much anything.
I got you,
Of course,
brother.
that's legal and, you know, moral and ethical, but you can agree to basically anything as two attorneys and two sides. They can say we're going to do the interview over 4 days at 30 minutes at a time. We can say we're going to do a 5-hour block. We can say we're only going to do 30 minutes. We can say I'm not even going to ask any questions. She's just going to tell me what happened that night. Or we can say I'm going
My
to ask
day
leading
off.
questions. You can agree to pretty
That's
much
what I do on my day
anything
off.
in an interview, because deposition rules don't necessarily apply. The rules at trial, the rules of evidence don't apply when you're just interviewing somebody that is agreeing to speak to you. Now, if you don't follow certain rules, it can be objectionable later and can potentially be inadmissible later, but they can absolutely limit the scope.
Yes.
Or they can
You
expand the
watch
scope.
this video.
Whatever the two sides agree to is what can happen at this interview. What type of deposition will it be? Video or video conferencing with the judge? The judge will not be participating. And when you look at what kind of a deposition it's going to be, it's not going to be a deposition for all intents and purposes that we know right now. And it could either be in
It's
person,
so
it could be over
hard,
the
and
phone,
I'm
it could
not
be video
perfect.
conference by
I
Zoom.
never said I was.
It really just depends on what they agree to.
I say wrong things too.
What is the purpose of the Nevada interview with the victim and survivor? The purpose is to find out, what does she know? What did she see? What did she do? What happened in the gap between the crimes happening and them calling 911?
I think that right there is the biggest question that everybody wants answered. That's the million, gazillion, quadrillion, bagazillion question. What happened in between the time of the murders and that 911 call? Now, I know everybody's going to start throwing all their theories and their opinions out in that chat, but that is the big gazillion, gamillion, blah, 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 blah question right now. And that's one of the biggest things that bothers me. Why hasn't the 911 call been released? I think there's major evidence on that 911 call. Major evidence. I know that people will come up and say there's conspiracies on that call. The conspiracies. It was the shapeshifters that did it. No, I'm just being silly. But I think that's the $100 million gazillion dollar question right now.
What did she hear? Were people coming in and out all the time? Was everybody intoxicated that night? Those questions very much could matter. And when you do a deposition or do an interview like this, the scope of relevance is so much bigger than what happens at trial. The rule for something to be admissible in a deposition is it reasonably likely to lead to discoverable material? Meaning the actual question doesn't even have to be discoverable material. It just has to be reasonably likely to lead to something that could be discoverable. So it's a much broader net. Will, do you think Bryan will ever confess, even if they stack up way more evidence in the next hearing? As it sits right now, I mean, the answer seems like no, but I mean, if you followed the Aiden Fucci trial, he didn't confess till the very end when he was about to go to trial. That type of stuff happens all the time, so it's not really, I don't really know. Leo the Lioness, what's the issue? Why can't she talk? I have no idea. But a lot of victims or potential witnesses refuse to talk to the defense, and that's their obligation. But it's the defense's, I said obligation. That's their prerogative. They can make that decision. But it's also the defense's prerogative to, if they want to force a witness to show up and testify, they can subpoena you. So my guess is she refused to talk to the defense, so they subpoenaed her, so then she agreed to talk to the defense, which is not all that uncommon. All right. So we've answered a lot of questions about this stuff. It's going to continue to trickle out. Feel free to send it to me, Instagram and Twitter at Tragos Law. Give us a follow on there if you guys haven't already. And make sure you subscribe to our channel, and maybe we'll have somebody else tell you to hit the like button on the way out if you stick around through the entirety of the outro for a little encore. Thanks for watching another episode.
All right, that was Tragos on the lawyer. The lawyer you know. Sorry, I was trying to look for my button there. All right, idiots. I wanted to just do a quick live stream for you. Again, just broke a little bit of news. I know it's not probably like the big shock factor that you're all looking for, but Bethany and Dylan have talked on Instagram. You can go back and rewind the video if you'd like to see. And I think it gives a public presence. We haven't heard anything from them at all over these last couple of months, and almost a half a year. We're getting close. And I think it sets a public presence. They are there. They're out there. It looks like their friends and their community are kind of rallied around them at this point and supporting them. But we will keep an eye on the story. We will keep an eye on the prize, and we will get closer to supposedly this preliminary hearing that's going to happen on June 26th. We will have to wait and see. I will be back I'm going to do a stream on Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Maybe I can set something up to have the other guys here in the group, the other channels, jump over, hang out. Go over, check out Publicly Buzzed tonight. He's going to be on there at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He's going to go live. Maybe I can get something up here, but I will be back on Saturday to discuss a little bit more of what's going on. We'll keep an eye on. We'll see if anything comes up here in the next couple of hours, next 24-hour cycle. I'll set the reminder for Saturday night. I'm going to open up the phone lines on Saturday night, let you all call in. We'll do rapid fire because I know you all love rapid fire. So get your questions ready, your opinions, your statements, how you feel about everything. We'll open the phone lines on Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to hear from all of you. I'm going to open up the platform and let you all talk. I'm going to give you a voice to talk on Saturday night. So come back 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday night. I will be here. I love everybody in the chat. Thank you all so much for the new members. Thank you all so much for the super chats. I'm going to go off and continue my day. You will see me soon. You will see me soon. And Publicly Buzzed and I are going to get something going. We'll get this ramping up. Let's get us smaller, support small YouTube channels. Not that there's anything bad about supporting the larger ones. We love Drunk Turkey, of course. They're still building their community, but guys like me and Publicly Buzzed, we need that push as well. So the best thing that you guys all can do, come over, hang out, watch the lives, interact on the videos, comments, push these mother effing channels out in that damn algorithm. Let's get us out there. We need to grow this community. One love. We all love you guys. I will see you all back Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll set the reminder. Go over, if you're a new member, real quick before I go out. If you're a new member, go onto the community tab here on my homepage. And there's a secret link in there for you, for members only. You can get in the Discord group and come hang out and chat with us. All right, guys. I'll see you later. All be well. I was going to say be free. Of course, be free. Be safe. I love all you. You're an amazing community. You make it all worth it. Sometimes I'm cranky. I get it. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get realism here because I'm real. I don't hide my emotions. Put them damn out there. I'm an emotional person. I care about all of you. I care about this community. I care about this fucking channel. So let's go. I love you guys. I'll see you out. Peace.